Hi, my name is Amber Schoeller. On March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, 2023, I was diagnosed with triple positive breast cancer. In April of 2023, I started chemotherapy. My cancer was very aggressive. I had a very large tumor, and we started chemotherapy right away. After that, I had a mastectomy. Followed by that was 6 weeks of radiation. And then I started on hormone therapy. My oncologist was very hesitant to put me on hormone therapy because of my pre-existing mental health issues. I've always struggled with anxiety and depression. One of the hardest parts of my cancer journey has been managing mental health at the same time as cancer. With chemotherapy, my serotonin was, zapped away. So that was one level of depression. And then when my body was disfigured, it added another layer of depression. Losing my hair, putting on 50 pounds of weight, my anxiety to leave the house, was unbearable. I isolated for a year. And then starting tamoxifen, was very tricky. My oncologist and my psychiatrist were in touch with each other because my antidepressants were going to interact. And that was a very stressful time for me because my oncologist wanted me to get to a better mental spot before starting me on tamoxifen. And I was in a position where I'm like, okay, I'm risking my life by not starting the tamoxifen because my breast cancer might come back, but the tamoxifen going to put me in a very deep depression, as it's, known to do for people with pre-existing conditions. So what do? Do I risk the cancer coming back, or do I risk my depression getting worse? So the doctor said we can't wait any longer and put me on the tamoxifen, 20 milligrams. I fell into a very, very deep depression, and it was scary. My psychiatrist had suggested hospitalization more than once. Since then, with the guidance of someone from SheRose, I've cut my medication in half, and I'm doing a lot better. But I just really feel like it's important to share how much of your journey through cancer is mental as much as it is physical. So I'm very proud of where I've gotten today. My battle with cancer started with 20 rounds of chemotherapy. It was very aggressive. We had to start right away. From there, I had a mastectomy. I handled that very well. I bounced back very quick. I couldn't wait to get my drains out. And then I had 6 weeks of radiation, and that went well as well. Physically, I'd say I was really strong. I exercised through treatment, and that was really wonderful. The biggest battle of my cancer journey, though, was my mental health. I had pre-existing anxiety and depression, and with each treatment, chemo, radiation, the surgery, being left disfigured, my depression really started to worsen. And then when hormone therapy was added at the end, that really got scary for me. I was dangerously depressed. My psychiatrist had suggested that I go to the hospital a few times. So I'm very, very proud that I survived cancer, and mostly because I was able to do it while balancing the struggles of my mental health at the same time as the physical challenges of cancer as well. So I'm very grateful to be here, and I feel mentally stronger because if I can get through cancer with anxiety and depression, then I feel like I could do just about anything now. So I'm happy to report today I have no evidence of disease. I do have 4 more years on tamoxifen, which is my hormone therapy. And in October, so just a couple of short months, I'm going to be having my reconstruction surgery, which I'm very excited about. I'd like to thank Dr. Taneja, who is my surgeon, the day I found out I had cancer, and it was the scariest day of my life, and everything just paused. She made me feel so safe. And Dr. Witherby gave me a hug and apologized that I had to be there, and it just felt like so human, you know. Dr. Sue was my oncologist. She got me through chemo all through Newport, which was, you know, the summer of chemo. And I'd really like to thank my nurse, Kristen. She did my chemo every Tuesday, and I actually looked forward to going to chemo to see her. She was just so wonderful and so supportive. And Dr. Maselli, my plastic surgeon, did a wonderful job. I can hardly even see my scar, and I feel very confident to be having my second surgery with her. I want to thank my husband, John. We don't have any family in the state, and I didn't have a lot of friends going through this, and all of it fell on him. And he was there for me for everything, every mental breakdown. He would leave work and come home to take care of me. He took it all on, the uncontrollable depression, sleeping at the hospital in a tiny chair, and he's a 6'6" man. And I learned a whole new love with him through cancer. So he was my primary support, and so much fell on him because of that, and I'll just never know how to repay him. And I would like to thank my parents. They live 4 hours away in New Hampshire. They took turns coming to my chemo session, so I never had to be alone. And they always would make me laugh. And they would bring me back to New Hampshire, and we'd just lay and watch TV. And sometimes they would lay in bed with me while I cried myself to sleep, just so I wouldn't have to be alone. And it's just, it's crazy how at 37, you still need your parents that bad. And I'd like to thank my best friend, Lexi, coming down to chemo and bringing all these wigs and making it a fun thing for me. And my sister-in-law and my brother were very helpful. My brother covered for me for work the whole time I was out. My sister-in-law was always there to talk to me, even though I was negative and sad. And my niece, Scarlett, her FaceTimes really made me feel like I had something to live for, because unfortunately there were many days throughout my journey when my depression was bad that I felt like I had nothing to live for. So although my support circle was very small, you know, not really a lot of friends, not a support group, just those people, when I didn't want to fight for myself, and there were many days I didn't, they kept me fighting. So yeah, I'm so grateful, so grateful. Not a lot of people, I guess, surrounded me with love, but such a big love from the people that were there. Yeah. So when I was completely lost, I would tell my doctors, my oncologists, you know, they'd ask how I was doing. I'm physically great. Mentally, I'm very scared. I'm not doing well. Finally, after about 8 months of treatment, someone suggested, call Gloria Gemma. So I called Gloria Gemma, and Mandy picked up the phone, and I was crying, and I said, I need help. I don't know where to go. I need something. Is there any way you could help me? She talked to me for 2 hours, and it's the first time I didn't feel alone. It's the first time I didn't feel like I was a burden on my husband or on my family. It was the first time I felt hope that I was going to be okay. It was the first time I felt safe and that I wanted to live. And she told me about the expo in October. I went there, and through that, I learned about the SheRose program, and I realized, oh my God, if I had a sisterhood, you know, and I had a group of friends, and I had support, and that's exactly what I need. Like that's a future to me, you know? So I remember at SCART, I was very down, and I told Maria, I really need some help. And they paid a lot of special attention to me. And I've come such a long way from crying at SCART with my black and blue painting. It was so depressing. And then we started with our weekly talks, and I started connecting with the girls. And my coach, she saved me. She told me about cutting my tamoxifen in half, which was life-changing. And all I can say is that I don't think I would be here right now without Maria, without Mandy, without my coach Tila, and without these girls. I'm afraid I would be sitting in a hospital, you know, and they made me want to live again. And I owe everything to SheRose. Honestly, I don't know where I'd be without them. So joining SheRose might have been the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. So I would recommend it to everyone, anyone affected by breast cancer. It's not only changed my life, like I said before, it's probably saved it. The support, the love, the friends I've made, I'm gonna get so emotional. I can't recommend it enough. Anyone that's been touched by this disease, I recommend that they do SheRose. It's life-changing, absolutely. My name is Amber Schoeller, and this is my story.
Hi, everybody. I'm sitting here with the beautiful Amber Schoeller, and you know, this is a podcast, so people don't have the benefit of seeing you in person. They probably will see a photo that accompanies this podcast, but oh my goodness. Okay, we were just talking about this photo shoot makeover. You are stunning, like the type of photo look that you would see on any celebrity red carpet. And you said you spent the last year hiding in our house.
So I'm smiling so hard right now. My face kind of hurts. The past year, I would say, it's embarrassing to admit, but I think it's important for people to know. I was so depressed by my appearance. I gained about 50 to 60 pounds, lost my hair, my eyebrows, my eyelashes. I was too scared to leave my house. I didn't want anyone to see me. And I just completely withdrew from society. And my depression got worse and worse because of that, you know? So today has been transformational. I mean, this is the first time that I've looked in a mirror. I've avoided mirrors for almost a year and a half now. I keep the bathroom mirror open so I can't see it. You can only see it inside the cabinet. It's been horrible. So today, to be able to feel beautiful, I didn't think I would ever feel beautiful again. I mean, this is just absolutely incredible. I just never thought I would feel like this again. It's really amazing, and it's so wonderful that you all have done this for us, because I know a lot of us, you know, don't recognize ourselves after breast cancer. It takes a lot from us, you know, physically and our appearance. You know, you're used to looking one way your whole life, and then boom, you know, you look like a big potato. And it's just, I'm just really, really grateful to have confidence for the first time in a really, really long time. And I hope it's something I can hold on to.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, you know, in one sense, you want to say, oh, well, looks aren't everything. You know, that's kind of a silly thing to say, because I think for women, you know, cancer's so invasive into the thing that makes a woman. You know, whether it's her breast or her hair, her eyelashes, her weight, the feeling of being feminine, the feeling of being intimate. I mean, it can strip all of those things away. And then so over time, like you said, laying on your couch and then just forgetting your sense of self, or even thinking that there's light at the end of the tunnel and that you can feel that way again. I mean, I think that's the worst part. You might think when somebody says, oh, you have to get used to your new normal. This new normal is like on your couch.
This is just temporary.
Right.
But it doesn't feel just temporary. I mean, when you're in it and it's then a year.
There's no end in sight.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I would ever recover. You know, when you're sitting there and you're looking or trying to avoid the mirrors, but you catch a glance of yourself, you lose all of your confidence, and you just think you'll never be the same person again. And today has made me feel like, maybe that's not true, but for the longest time, I mean, definitely the past year, I will admit, I would not leave the house. My husband would I work from home alone. My husband would just bring me home dinner, and I didn't want the world to see me. I couldn't go outside. And so this is a very big day.
Let me ask you something. What are your plans for after this? Are you going out with the girls? Or are you going to be going out with your husband? I'm just curious.
Well, yeah. So I used to travel. That was my passion. And I haven't done that in 2 years because I'm too self-conscious. I'm self-conscious about my short hair. I'm self-conscious about, having one breast. I'm self-conscious about, just not having the figure I did. I'm self-conscious. I look older now from cancer. So I've stopped doing the one thing I love, which is traveling. So my goal is to find the confidence to get back out there and do what I love. And I think today was the first step to getting my confidence back, And one of the biggest reasons I joined SheRose was because I met someone last year that said they found a sisterhood, and that's really, really what I need. And that's my goal. And I've started to make friends, and I'm feeling like purpose in life. And for a year, to be honest with you, I didn't know if there was a life for me worth living. I mean, I remember telling my parents one night, I wish the cancer had killed me. My depression was that deep and that dark, and I felt that worthless. Physically, mentally, not having children. I'm like, what am I fighting for? Like, this is what's left, And it was SheRose and these other women, caring about me and giving me hope and wanting to live again. And so honestly, I don't think I would be here today if it wasn't for SheRose. I really can't express how much this saved my life.
I'm tearing up just listening to this because I'm thinking, there's this beautiful person who was in her house for a year and a half or however long, so depressed. And cancer could have won, right? Or whatever the negative forces of this universe were getting inside your head and telling you you're no longer worthy. You're no longer worth it. You're no longer beautiful. There's no cause for living. And you start believing all those lies.
Yeah, and I believed him to my bones, in my bones.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here looking at you, it's hard to believe. It's hard for me to picture that person because you have this life force about you and this light that is so beautiful and I think can be shared with the rest of the world. And we pick up on that. I just saw your photo, like I said, a little candid from you posing downstairs. And it's like, it took my breath away. And you walk up in person and it's 10 times that. And I'm so happy that cancer, I kind of want to take my middle finger right now and go, F you, cancer.
Yeah,
you didn't win.
Me too.
You rose above it. And by the grace of God or whatever your higher power is, I am so happy that you didn't let it win.
You, Maria and Mandy are my higher power right now. Okay. You guys are who got me through this. And, if it wasn't for SheRose, I could still be stuck in that bed with the curtains drawn down in a dark room, just watching the same TV shows because I'm just so scared. I didn't want anyone to see this new version of me, this big, bald, lopsided, and it just became. It consumed me. Yeah. And like you said, I didn't feel worthy enough for love. I didn't feel worthy enough for new friends. Who wanted to be friends with the depressed girl with cancer?
That had to impact your marriage a little. I'm not trying to get into it, but.
No, it certainly did. My husband was my only support system in Rhode Island. My parents don't live in the state. I don't have friends in the state because I travel so much. And it took a huge toll on him. And it was very hard on our marriage because he came home every day and I was just crying and crying. What am I fighting for? I don't have any children. Look at me. Who would want to talk to me? And I believe these things to my core, you know? And, you know, he didn't know what to do anymore. So at one point, my psychiatrist did say, maybe we should send you to the psychiatric hospital. And I felt like I'm being such a burden on my husband. Maybe I should just go. And it was after a phone call with my coach, Tila, that I didn't go to the hospital because she gave me hope. And she told me her story. And she made me realize that I don't need to go to the hospital. I need to stick it out and I need to do SheRose. And she told me to get my tamoxifen, my hormone therapy, which was affecting my depression a lot, to cut the dose from 20 to 10. Now, my oncologist had never, ever recommended this to me, even though they knew I was suffering. So that also was a lifesaver. So again, just all of you and the whole program literally saved me.
I can't wait till Taylor hears this.
Yeah.
It's going to mean a lot to her because, you know, just a couple years ago, she was in your shoes. I mean, and now she's coaching.
Right.
You know, like I love this program so much because, first of all, I'm a huge fan of humans, you know, and women, and, you know, life is hard. And especially when something like cancer comes around and you feel like you've lost all control, but then when you gain it back, it's just such a beautiful thing to watch, you know, and I'm so excited that you're here. And so when I asked, what are you doing after this? I mean, tonight, is your husband?
Oh, okay.
Is your husband?
No, I'm going out with the girls.
That's what
yeah.
And then okay.
I'm going out with the girls, and then hopefully he's awake so we can see this makeup.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
But we're gonna all go have some dinner right now, and that's gonna feel so great. I can't remember the last time I went out with like a group of girls. So like, again, the gift of a sisterhood and friends, like that means so much to me, because I don't have children and I can't have children now with cancer. And that's something I've had to come to terms with while going through this treatment and my depression. And I'm finding purpose in friendships. Yeah. And, you know, so that's also helping me like realize that maybe, you know, I do have a purpose in life. Like I can be happy, you know, even though things aren't going the way I thought they would go. Yeah. So it has been a journey. And I feel like now if I could survive my mental health, like the anxiety and depression that was already existing and I was struggling with, if I could survive that while going through cancer, I feel like now I'm in a better position. Like I'm stronger, that I can handle that now with way more grace and way more control than I did before cancer.
Right. You didn't know the end result before because you were down a path that the end result seemed like it was going to be the end. You know?
Exactly.
And now you know that it doesn't have to win. You know, I mean, it can feel dark and you may still experience struggles.
Once in a while. Yeah, it's got to come.
Yeah. It will, because life is hard. But, you know, what I want to, for anybody listening, I want them to understand that, you know, today's makeover photo shoot we don't ever proclaim that, hey, come on in and we're going to give you hair and makeup, you know, style your hair, do your makeup, put in a gown and all your troubles go away.
Right.
Because that's why we do all the other programs first.
Right.
Because that camaraderie that you've established with the ladies to be experiencing this together and then to go out afterwards, the sisterhood is just like such a gift, right?
Right.
And then, but to really work on the inner healing part of what you're going through, to pull out some of the trauma, to learn self-acceptance of your scars, your body, your changes is so important before you get to today.
Absolutely.
Because today couldn't happen without that others.
Absolutely. And yeah, just two things I definitely want to say. You know, I know a lot of people don't want to talk about mental health, but I thought this was so important because, you know, maybe someone in my situation next week or next year, you know, I want them to hear my story. Yeah. And I want them to reach out to me, you know, and I would love to help them like through their struggle together. Because, you know, it got worse with chemo, and then it gets worse when you lose a breast, and then it gets worse with radiation, and then it gets a lot worse with hormone therapy. So it's a battle, and I want people to know it's okay to talk about that.
Do you have an Instagram or something?
I don't.
You know, how would people find you? We need to come up with the way. No. Okay, after we're done recording this,
we'll figure something
and then
out.
I'll put it in the program notes. So if somebody's listening to this podcast and they say, I just need to talk to you.
I would love that because I'm looking for purpose and I feel like maybe this is it.
Make a mission out of your mess.
I want to make a mission out of my mess. That's exactly right. So, yeah, absolutely. And I want to be there. I want to be there for people because I didn't have anyone during treatment, and besides my husband, and I just felt like I was burdening him. So I was keeping all of this inside.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't want anyone else to feel like that. So I would love, I can make an Instagram for this purpose.
Let's do it.
And let's do that.
Yeah. Like say let's, but
yeah,
what I mean is that let's have you start posting your journey and sharing with others your mental health, perspective, and just knowing that that is so important, especially I feel like the world changed after the pandemic, with depression also. And I just feel like it's on the rise and there is a way out. It comes with support, and you have to have tools, and you have to be willing to say, I can't do this alone.
Right.
And you cannot solve the problem by staying home and being on your couch in a dark room.
You can't.
You're never going to.
And I was getting worse and worse and worse, which is why I keep saying SheRose was the only thing that pulled me out of that darkness. And I honestly mean this. I did not see a light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, I was going to go check into that psychiatric hospital because I had nowhere else to go.
I wonder what would happen. And what would have your trajectory been then?
Then I would have probably been there for a few days. They were talking about doing electroshock therapy, and Tila, we talked, and she was like, she had calmed me down where I felt like I didn't need to go to the hospital. Like I felt like I was calm and I could do it. And then she told me about the tamoxifen. I asked my doctor the next day. We cut the dose in half. It made all the difference. And the next day, I got on story crafting, and I was so shy. And because the girls were so much better at writing than me, and all I was hoping for is, when are we going to be friends? When is it going to happen? And then every week that went by, I got better. And the best part about this, I'm going to tell you, and we could end with this if you like, but so many people have said to me over the past few weeks and today that I am a completely different person than I was at SCART. When I was at SCART painting my scars, I was crying when I walked in. I went right up. I
remember that.
Yeah, I went right up to Maria and I said, "I'm scared. I'm scared to be alone. I'm not in a good place. I need support. Is there someone I can talk to tomorrow?"
Mandy's
and I talked to Mandy, and she goes, "We're going to keep an eye on you." And I felt scared because I work home alone. So I've been home alone, isolated with all these things. And so many people have said on our calls on Monday, Amber, you were just growing and illuminating and Maria has commented so many times on who is this smiling girl? And and that, this is exactly what the program is for. And, I think I'm a perfect example of what SheRose can do for someone, because I was taken from the darkest place you could be, to the point where my parents didn't want me home alone, and now I'm feeling excited about my future for the first time in my life.
Oh gosh, God bless you.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you. So, well, thank you for sharing. I could talk to you forever. I want to hear your story.
Okay.
And it's called The Solitary Tree. Why did you name it that?
So, during my treatment, like I said, with family not around and without any friends in the state, I felt alone. I felt just like a tree, in the middle of a field with no other trees around. And I just felt like I was getting whacked by all these storms and just broken and more broken with every single treatment, So I felt like a solitary tree during all of my treatment. So that's why I named my story The Solitary Tree.
But I can't wait to hear it, because I have only read the title.
Okay.
I always want to hear these for the first time from you all. So,
yep.
All right. So without further ado, this is Amber Schoeller reading The Solitary Tree.
Okay. In 2023, I heard the 3 words everybody fears. You have cancer. As if dealing with this was not a big enough challenge, my pre-existing anxiety and depression worsened with my diagnosis. I struggled through chemotherapy, was left listless through radiation, felt disfigured by surgery, and destroyed by hormone therapy. This medication left me drowning in despair. I found myself unable to get out of bed. I was not living, hardly surviving. There was a constant feeling of hopelessness, and I yearned for sleep to escape the nightmare. I no longer recognized myself. I couldn't control the effect cancer and tamoxifen were having on me mentally. They had robbed me of my personality, my appearance, and positivity, and my family felt it. I felt like a burden. I was dragging them down into my cancer nightmare. It was the loneliest, most hopeless place with no signs of things ever changing. I felt like a strong and healthy tree now standing alone in the middle of an open field, completely exposed to an unrelenting storm and suddenly losing leaves, left unrecognizable by the ravages of nature. Ultimately, though, I would come to find out that I was not a solitary tree and that I was far more resilient than I could have imagined. My life before cancer was a big one, full of family, friends, excitement, and adventure. I traveled the world, met new people, and always escaped those winter blues. I enjoyed driving my moped around my hometown of Newport, soaking up the sun around Ocean Drive. I loved the freedom. I had confidence and found joy in little and big things. Whether I was discovering hidden islands around the world, participating in sacred ceremonies, surfing in Mexico, or hiking volcanoes in Scotland, I woke up excited for each day. I didn't worry about my future. I looked forward to it. While life was full of joy and adventure, it wasn't without its challenges. My struggles with mental health were there following me wherever I went. However, it felt like I was making huge strides with this until I was sitting alone in Mexico one Sunday afternoon. Little did I know when I was staying in Guadalajara, Mexico, that my life was about to be turned completely on its head when I noticed blood in my sports bra. I decided to call Planned Parenthood after a terrifying Google search. I explained to the nurse I would be back home in 1 month to get it checked out, and that would be fine, right? When the nurse replied with, "I suggest you come home now," my heart stopped. I had considered finishing out my trip, since it might be the last chance, as the possibilities loomed over me. Instead, with shaky hands and teary eyes, I booked 2 flights to get me back home. Those were the longest plane rides of my life, alone in the sky with my thoughts and fears. The next day, I was in the hospital for my mammogram. "Hi, Amber, are you here with anyone?" a doctor asked after I had just been taken in for way too many closer looks of my breasts, each one furthering my worst fears. I answered no. "Okay, well, I'm sorry, but you do have cancer." It felt like a death sentence. I was hardly breathing as I texted my husband, "I have cancer." I sat paralyzed, trying to wrap my head around the idea that my life could be over at 37 and how much of it had been wasted battling my mental health. The darkest days of my cancer battle taught me a valuable lesson, that I was not alone. I've learned that the love in my life is much bigger than I could have imagined. While I never questioned my parents' love for me, cancer just magnified it. They took turns driving 8 hours for chemo. They would lie next to me in bed while I cried and did not leave until I fell asleep. I felt so much pain during cancer, but I've never felt more love either. This was also true with my husband, John. I experienced a whole different love through cancer. There were days when I told him I didn't know what I was even fighting for, as I couldn't see a future past cancer. He would remind me there was still us. He truly carried me through this nightmare and fought for me when I couldn't fight for myself. Lastly, cancer has given me the gift of pink sisters through SheRose. I now know that I'm not alone with my cancer or my mental health struggles. It's here that I have found peace, strength, and support, and now I will never be alone in survivorship. Cancer took everything from me, which has left me in a position to relearn everything anew. I have learned that I can survive depression while battling cancer. I can overcome just about anything. I emerged from this battle more confident in my ability to navigate my mental health. The tree that had lost all its branches and leaves has started to show new life. I'm a lot stronger and more resilient than I could have ever imagined. I hope my tree one day can provide shade and shelter for others. And most importantly, I've come to realize I'm not that solitary tree. I'm part of a forest.
It's really good. And I picture these, I don't know what kind of tree you are, but I'm picturing not only this beautiful place of shade and rest for others, but little acorns being dropped.
Yeah.
That grow into new trees. And those little acorns are the ones you're going to help with who listen to your story.
I hope
and
so.
who grow.
I hope so.
You're going to drop your growth so that other people will grow. I just feel it. You've had a beautiful life. I can't wait for your husband to say blah, blah, boom.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I got a few pictures, so that's great too. Yeah.
And I really can't wait to hear about your amazing girls' night out tonight.
Yeah, we're going, there's a restaurant, it's literally 1 minute walk.
Oh,
so they're just waiting for me and they're probably starving and we're all going to go eat.
I want you to have the best.
And it was so great. And you asked me earlier, what's next for me? And ironically, getting back to New Orleans for a girls trip that's my favorite place.
Well, Angela and I are going to welcome you with open arms.
Oh my God.
You got a place to stay. We're going to be the best hostesses.
Oh my God. I love it. Okay. New Orleans is my favorite place. It's like, I feel more alive there than anywhere. I love the energy. I love the music. And that was the last place I was besides Mexico. Before I got sick. And I had cancer at the time, but I didn't know. But that was the last time I felt good and I had a fun time.
Oh.
So I want to get back to New Orleans.
Let's go back to your roots and have some fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much
All right.
for being
Thank you.